So now, what does the ovary itself looks like? Let's take a look at ovary. So the ovary is, of course, the primary female reproductive organ. I told you, I said primary means that it can make the egg. And it's also called primary because without it, there can't be reproduction. What does that even mean? Yeah, a woman might have no, let me say, maybe something is wrong with the uterus. But if the ovary is intact, she can still have a baby. Maybe she cannot carry the baby herself, but an egg can be harvested, can be taken from her during IVF, for IVF. But if a woman has fallopian tube, uterus, all of those stuff, and there's no ovary, there's nothing that can happen except for a miracle. So that means even without all those other structures, but the ovary is intact, the woman can still have a child, which is that's carrying a DNA and a gene, even though she might not be the one to carry the pregnancy as it were. All right, it could be a surrogate. I mean, they could explore surrogacy as the case may be. So basically here, it's a structure. It's an almond shape. It's about 3 to 5 centimeters in length. It has 2 layers. Basically, the outer cortex, which is made up of cuboidal epithelial sort of cell, and the inner medulla, so to say. Then this outer cortex is always having some sort of follicles in it, which have different sizes based on the maturity of the follicle. Of course, this is the most mature follicle, and that's going to be the Graafian follicle. Don't worry about some of these words. Just make sure you're following this video, because Graafian follicle is the most mature follicle during the follicular phase of menstrual cycle. We're going to get that as we move on. All right, so don't worry. I'm just saying some of these things for the moment. All right, don't worry. You're going to get what each of these things means. So, like I said, pause the video if you have to. If you're writing the exams, pause the video to write these things and all of that. So, moving on. Now, check this out. This was what I was telling you some minutes ago. This is the follicles. Now, usually we say that the ovary contains egg. Well, the ovary does not really contain egg directly. It contains follicle, and the follicle then contains egg. So these are follicles. This is the egg here. This is the egg here. So when we say that ovary secretes hormone, I'm telling you categorically right now, what secretes the hormone is actually the follicular cells. They are the ones that secrete the estrogen or what have you. So it's not the ovary itself, but because, so let me say this to you in an exam. If you are given options of which of the following secretes the female hormone, the question gives you follicle. I mean, the options are follicle, options is ovary, option is female reproductive system. I mean, these are the options. Gladly pick follicle. But if you don't have follicle in the option, you can go with ovary. The reason why follicle is the most correct here is because the follicle is the actual structure that secretes that in the ovary. Please take note of this. All right. So you can see the follicles in different sizes. So when the most matured one at a particular point will rupture by a process called ovulation, and this is happening based on the synchronym of some hormones. That's why that is happening. This is meant to happen on day 14th of the menstrual cycle. So this is a real picture of this is the ovary. This whole structure is the ovary. This is the follicle releasing the egg during ovulation. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. Try to remember this. Pause the video here at this point to read everything here if you have to, please. Like I said, I don't want to start reading everything after the order because it's here, but the explanation will make this to make more sense. You can see different sizes of the follicle to the most matured one, so to say. So now we move on to the functions of the ovary. So the ovary has several functions. We'll just be looking at a few of these functions. Number one, production of egg. We have said that severally. So it says here the primary function of the ovary is what produce egg. So during fertile development, now let me say this here. Every female, one female a female child, like, let me be this way. This is a pregnant person. Excuse me. So this is the pregnancy. Please don't mind that. Do I do that pregnancy? So this pregnancy has a female fetus. Female fetus. So this female fetus has in her ovary all the eggs she will ever need. Even though the ovaries are not working, the eggs in the ovary are not working. Let me say that again. This female baby has all the eggs in her ovaries. There will be millions. But as she grows in intrauterine life, in pregnancy, the number of eggs start reducing. It keeps reducing. So when she's being born, it keeps reducing when she starts menstrual cycle, like that till a particular point whereby they literally probably stop, so to say. That's when the woman gets to menopause. And the reason why menopause happens really is because when there's no follicle anymore, that means there's no hormone anymore. So no follicle, no egg, no hormone. So that's where those symptoms comes, all of those things. So it says here, so this supplies the egg in during fetal development, the ovaries contain a finite number of, I already explained that this supply of eggs is present at birth and gradually declines over a woman's lifetime. So it keeps declining. So the process of making this egg is called, making the egg through follicle is called folliculogenesis. Like, it's just make the formation of follicles, as it were. No big deal. So what you are seeing here is basically the growth of the follicle from primary, secondary. It grows to a mature follicle, then it ruptures during ovulation, and that's basically happened. So what you are seeing here is also just how meiosis takes place. But don't worry about all of this. It's just we're building up something. Just make sure you're following this. You get this. All right. So the next function, so formation of egg, ovulation. So we form the egg, now ovulation. So ovulation basically means that the release of a matured egg. That's what you're seeing here. That's what you're seeing here. So when the follicle is matured, please, it's based on the effect of some hormones like follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, and some other hormones, progesterone and estrogen. All of these hormones work together to make the egg come out of the ovary, of the follicle, please. Of course, of the follicle which is in the ovary. Because let me say this, the follicle is still within the ovary when this is happening, so to say, right? So it's still, you can see it here. This is the ovary, this is ovary, this is the follicle still within the ovary. So to say, it's not as if the follicle will leave. No, the follicle is still part of the ovary, but it's going to be so close to the exterior. It's not close, it's at the exterior of the ovary, so that you can expel it out, so to say. So if this egg is fortunate enough to see a sperm cell to fertilize it, then it becomes a fertilized egg. Then, of course, that fertilized egg is transported to the uterus for implantation. Then other things happen. Then this follicle, this empty follicle, becomes corpus luteum. A lot of things happens, really. Like I said, please don't worry. I'm saying some things now. I'm just mentioning them. I'm not going in detail because there are lectures that will be assigned for that. All right, hope that made sense. Okay. So the next thing is production of hormones. The hormones in this case will be estrogen, progesterone. Of course, this depends on if the woman is pregnant or not. So I would advise you at this point. There's a topic we're going to be doing called menstrual cycle. You can pause this video here to read this. If you're an A-level student, just pause this video here to study this. But don't worry yourself, because I will still explain all of this in detail. It's a topic on its own. This can take us a whole 15-20 minutes to explain. To make it so that it can make sense. So basically, these hormones, can you see this? Are from the ovary, but these other hormones are from the pituitary gland. So they work together to make the menstrual cycle happen. Of course, this happens on day 14. So this is what happens after the. So this is the empty follicle, and there's no egg in it anymore. But the egg has been released here. But you know the funny thing is, if this guy will remain alive, when I say alive, like he will still be functioning, it depends on if there's a sperm cell to fertilize it. If there's no sperm cell to fertilize this, this guy will become something else called corpus albicans. It's going to change. But if this egg is fertilized, this guy will keep being alive because it's been alive. Corpus luteum being alive will be producing a hormone to keep the baby living. No worries. I just give it a taste of what that topic is going to look like. We're going to explain this. We're going to enjoy this. I can tell you that for sure. So the next thing on the list is regulation of hormone. Of course, is almost basically the same thing. It's just telling you here how the effect of luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone affect this. That's basically what's happening here, right? Oh, that made sense. So this is the function of the ovary. Don't forget that I just quickly explained this quickly. Just it's an overview, so to say. All right. So we're going to go in more detail as time goes on.